The ocean. It sustains us. It fascinates us. Yet still it remains much a mystery. We've seen more of the moon than the depths of the ocean, and year after year, the discoveries we make in the waters of our ocean planet continue to astound us and change the way we view the natural world. The ocean holds plants that keep our planet habitable. They keep our coastlines intact. We see ourselves in some of its inhabitants, and we're constantly trying to learn more about its shy and mysterious creatures. But perhaps most importantly, humans have relied upon the seas for thousands of years. Today, over 1 billion people rely directly upon the ocean for food, a fact that should garner a certain amount of respect for the marine environments that are such a crucial part of our lives. Unfortunately, the oceans have simply become a commodity which is to be exploited with little regard for the impacts of our actions. Most of the world has lost touch with the oceans. They've become disconnected from the very thing they rely upon. We've lost our respect for the most important ecosystem on the planet. In April 2010, I set out on a journey to learn more about these critical habitats that are so diverse, so unique, that it would surely take a lifetime to fully appreciate them. My goal was to understand how to reconnect with the oceans that we're so dependent upon. But where to begin? The majority of the Western world, the population with the greatest impact on the oceans, rarely even steps foot in the breaking waves of the world's coasts. Even fewer venture beneath the waves to immerse themselves in these incredible environments. A population so disconnected from the ocean will surely not fight to protect it. With looming threats such as the collapse of commercial fisheries, how can we convey such an urgent message to such a vast and uninformed population? Naturally, I turned to America's favorite pastime: television. I started my year off filming for National Geographic in the Dominican Republic, excavating Christopher Columbus's shipwrecks with Indiana University. With my newfound experience, I took off to South Africa's wild coast to capture the sardine run. Shoals of sardines up to 20 kilometers in length migrate along the country's east coast, attracting thousands of dolphins, sharks, birds, and whales for a natural event so spectacular, it just might inspire the world to rethink their attitude towards the oceans. Back in familiar territory, I learned how to use equipment that would allow me to interact with animals on their level, in their environment, becoming less obtrusive with each breath. I went on to use rebreathers to film the annual Nassau grouper spawning in Little Cayman, the first time anyone has attempted to view this phenomenon without the distracting effects of bubbles. Staying longer and in closer proximity to the mating fish, we were able to gain new insight into the dynamics of the spawning. Similar spawning aggregations all over the Caribbean have been wiped out by fishermen, but with support from locals and tourists, this breeding population of grouper will continue to repopulate Cayman waters for generations to come. On the other side of the world, in the island nation of the Maldives, another incredible aggregation takes place each year. In equally astounding numbers, hundreds of manta rays flock to Hanafaru Bay to feed on the minuscule zooplankton that becomes trapped by a unique combination of currents, tides, winds, and topography. Believe it or not, the problem at Hanafaru is that too many people want to see and appreciate this amazing feeding aggregation of manta rays. While it may be a better alternative to being killed for their gill rakers, overcrowding inside the bay makes it difficult for the mantas to feed, and often creates an unsafe environment for both mantas and tourists. Hopefully, with proper enforcement of government regulations, Hanafaru can provide an opportunity to help the resident manta rays and their cousins throughout the oceans by raising public awareness about the problems they face. Ecotourism is a growing industry around the world, and in some places, strict regulation has made it a lucrative and important alternative to exploiting the animals that we now pay to see. I traveled to South Africa and South Australia, where ecotourism is helping to change public perceptions of the widely feared great white shark, while at the same time allowing scientists to conduct crucial research on shark populations, movements, and feeding behaviors. My love of large, charismatic animals like great whites and manta rays has grown beyond my fascination with them. This year, I've seen people connect with these graceful animals, and I now understand what an important role they play in gaining support for the protection of the oceans. But despite the millions of dollars that tourists pay to see sharks and rays each year, we still know surprisingly little about them. The habits of manta rays still remain almost entirely a mystery to us, and without basic information, it's impossible to know how to best protect these incredibly intelligent animals. In recent years, demand for manta gill rakers in the Chinese medicinal trade has skyrocketed, making manta rays a target species in third world countries around the globe. Teaming up with Guy Stevens of the Manta Trust, I've begun researching these vulnerable animals in the hopes of learning how far they travel, where they travel to, and other basic information that could influence their protection and conservation. At the end of this incredible journey, what have I learned? Each and every one of us has to help protect what we have, whether it's a mangrove swamp in Florida or a coral reef in Indonesia. And in doing so, we can show the rest of the world just how important our ocean ecosystems really are.